Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer had failed to reach a deal on Tuesday, organizing a 50-50 Senate. So now Chuck Schumer is supposed to be the majority leader on Wednesday when the three Democrats that have won their seats in the Senate get seated. That's supposed to happen today. So now in the lead up to that, they've been having discussions on how they're going to share power in a 50-50 Senate. So now it's going to be evenly split. You're going to have Kamala Harris. It's going to come down and basically be the tiebreaker. So in essence, yes, the Democrats do control the Senate, and actually they have the power of budget reconciliation. I'll get into that in a little bit, all right? So now they've been trying to talk about this power sharing agreement, which I wasn't exactly in favor of because I don't think that we should share power with fascists. I think the Republican Party is a cancer on society. I think that the United States and the world would be much better if the Republican Party were rendered absolutely powerless overall. So no Republican Party. I'm not saying the Republicans shouldn't have representation, of course. I'm saying that the world would be better off if they didn't, because they hold us back. The Republican Party, again, is essentially a cancer on American democracy and on democracy everywhere. And we saw an example of that on January 6th when Trump supporters, backed by members of the Republican Party, tried to overturn and overthrow the results of a legitimate election. They are, again, a cancer. But anyway, all right, so that said, with a 50-50 Senate, Chuck Schumer's like, I got to share power with Mitch McConnell, my friend from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell. And so now they've been having some discussions, but it all happened to fall apart because, you know, they couldn't agree on one tool that the minority likes to use, and that's the filibuster. So now Mitch McConnell is pressing to use the power sharing agreement to help protect the filibuster. So a lot of progressives are saying, let's get rid of the filibuster so that Mitch McConnell can't sit there and block everything like he did during the Obama administration from getting through, so we can actually do things like, I don't know, try to solve climate change or work on reducing emissions and getting, you know, things like at least parts of the Green New Deal passed. Or, you know, we can also work on things like getting people health care, you know, doing a $15 minimum wage, you know, good things that the American people actually voted for, things that the American people actually like. But, you know, the general rule with Republicans is if the American people like something, then the Republican Party is going to be against it because, well, normally the Republican Party only serves their donors, and the donors' interests happen to be diametrically opposed to the interests of regular working Americans. So that's why Mitch McConnell wants to keep the filibuster, and that's why, unfortunately, the filibuster is going to stay. Okay? So now, Doug Andrus, spokesman for Mitch McConnell, said that during Tuesday's meeting, the GOP leader expressed his long-held view that what he says, the, quote, crucial, long-standing and bipartisan Senate rules concerning the legislative filibuster remain intact, specifically during the power share for the next 2 years, in which, of course, they hope, the Republicans hope that they can block enough of the Democratic agenda to then run on and say, look, the Democrats can't do anything. You should elect us. You know, the guys who tried to take over the government through force and then sat there and blocked everything that could have possibly helped you and your family, put us back into power and see what we can do, which would be, of course, to try to give, you know, giant tax cuts for the rich. So there you go. All right. So now Andres continued by saying, discussions on all aspects of the power sharing agreement will continue over the next several days. So I'm against the filibuster because that is the way that Mitch McConnell will try to prevent Democrats from doing anything, as I mentioned. That's why McConnell wants it. That's why it's got to go. Unfortunately, there are Democrats that are not on board with the idea. They're wary of the idea, citing like precedent, like, oh, if we get rid of the filibuster, well, then that means the next time Republicans get into power, they're going to be able to use the filibuster. Or how about this? This is an idea, right? How about you actually get rid of the filibuster and then do the things that you promised, and you're going to get voted back into office. Republicans, if you actually serve the people, then Republicans would never, ever get back into power ever again, because you would be actually serving the interests of the American people, and you would be popular, and you would be voted back into office. I know, but they're so scared. They're so scared, okay? And they refuse to do it. And one of the people that absolutely explicitly says we cannot get rid of the filibuster is Senator Joe Manchin. Yes, Joe Manchin. He has already vowed not to get rid of it. So with a 50-50 Senate, you're going to have to get the whole caucus on board to get a simple majority in order to change these rules. And with Joe Manchin, he ain't going to do it. And so that, unfortunately, as they explain, Democrats will only have a 50 majority, which includes Kamala Harris, who can break the tie, meaning they need the support of the caucus to go nuclear. And again, Mitch McConnell, he's going to continue to have the power of the filibuster since you have Democrats that are not going to vote in favor of this. And so that's going to be a disaster if we want anything to be done. Now, it also puts Joe Manchin in one of the most powerful positions in the Senate. He is now the crucial swing vote that everybody is calling for. Oh, Joe Manchin, can you please come together? Well, what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? Now, Joe Manchin, I've talked about him before. He's a Republican in blueface. That's all he is. That means we're not going to get anything done unless Joe Manchin gets his ass kissed. And he's presenting it to everyone right now. He is showing everyone his ass and saying, pucker up. Unless you want, hey, good, nice Democratic platform you got here. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it. But you know what? If you kiss my ass enough, well, then maybe I'll consider it. And so without a deal, the Senate is expected, this according to The Hill, to be stuck in limbo until the two leaders work it out, including Republicans still having majority on some committees, even though Schumer will become the Democratic majority leader of the Senate on Wednesday, once 3 new Democratic senators and Harris are sworn in, which has already happened. So if you were hoping for bold change, well, you might want to hold on to that because it might not happen in the Senate, at least if you don't include Bernie Sanders. So now Bernie Sanders is chairman of the Budget Committee. He is the incoming budget chairman. He can use a budget reconciliation in order to force simple majority votes on issues. Now, that still, of course, requires Joe Manchin to be involved, but there can be an issue of public shaming. A good example is the stimulus checks. So now, Joe Manchin had previously said, I'm not really interested in giving people checks. That's not my forefront, right? And then when the stocks tumbled and he got called out for it, he backpedaled. Oh, no. I'm in favor of $2,000 checks. I just didn't think it was the first thing that we should do. We should definitely do it. And by the way, a third stimulus isn't expected until March. So you've got a lot of work to do. But that said, I love the reaction from Republicans now that Senator Bernie Sanders is chair of the Budget Committee. In fact, here's Nikki Haley. Here's her reaction to this. Quote, time to face a harsh reality. Socialist Bernie Sanders will become the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. He has vowed to use his position to enact this progressive agenda on healthcare, climate, infrastructure spending, and cutting defense spending. Hey, all that sounds really cool. I would love that. Oh, but wait, from her perspective, she thinks it's bad. How dare you use your power to actually help regular people? Ooh, I know, right? Now, that said, here's what People for Bernie had tweeted back at her. This is an organization group. You forgot to mention raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour and taxing your rich friends. I love it. More. Republican fears of Sanders taking over the committee go back to at least 2016 when Paul Ryan, remember Paul Ryan, loser Paul Ryan of Wisconsin, then Speaker of the GOP-controlled House, said ahead of that year's election, quote, if we lose the Senate, do you know who becomes chair of the Senate Budget Committee? A guy named Bernie Sanders. You ever heard of him? Yeah. Yeah, we have. And we kind of like him because he likes to do good things. Yes. In fact, here's Warren Gunnels. This is one of Sanders' most senior aides who went out of the way to identify himself as the incoming majority staff director, which is always fun, for the Senate Budget Committee. Here's what he said last week on Twitter, last Friday. Yes, we can and we must use budget reconciliation to increase the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour with a simple majority vote in the Senate, just like Republicans did to pass massive tax breaks to the 1%. Sanders also told Politico in an interview that he has no plans to be sheepish from his perch atop the committee. Quote, I'm going to use reconciliation in an aggressive way, as an aggressive way as I possibly can, to address the terrible health and economic crises facing working people today. As we speak, my staff and I are working. We're working with Biden people. We're working with Democratic leadership. We'll be working with my colleagues in the House to figure out how we can come up with the most aggressive reconciliation bill to address the suffering of the American working families today. So contrast that with Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell trying to work out how they're going to share power. Bernie says, let's be aggressive. Schumer says, we're going to figure out how we can share power with the Republicans. So now budget reconciliation, that's basically the only way that we can actually get anything done. Mitch McConnell will still have the filibuster. Schumer will eventually have to make the deal with McConnell to share power, unfortunately. And I have zero faith that he'll be able to prevent Mitch McConnell from stabbing him in the back because, again, that's in Republicans' nature. That's what's going to happen. But hopefully, with Bernie Sanders in that position, we can do something to help the American people over these next 2 years so we don't get wiped out in the midterms. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.